After a recap of Part 1, Zadavia, still a bit shaken up by the events that just transpired, orders everyone back to HQ so she can fully explain their situation, because all of Acmetropolis is now a huge target. One opening intro later, savor it in, this is the last time we'll be seeing it, we're back at HQ, and Zadavia starts to exposit her background. Zadavia was born into the royal family on the far-off planet of Freeling, where she and her brother were poised to rule the planet together. Having developed the power of interdimensional transport, Optimatus suggests the time has come for their people to seek out new life on other planets, not to spread goodwill, but to conquer. Zadavia, shocked to hear her brother openly suggest genocide, fires back, saying doing such an act would bring dishonor to Freeling, which the rest of the Royal Council agrees on. In spite of this, Optimatus goes against the Council's orders, kidnapping them all, then attempts to go after her sister. Zadavia, with no other choice, flees Freeling, accidentally scarring her brother after he gets in line of fire with her ship's exhaust fumes. Using her brother's own wormholes, she travels to Acmetropolis and sets up a secret base for herself under the sea. Thinking that she was safe from her brother, she's proven wrong when he wormholes a meteor in the planet's direction. Using her powers, she's able to slow the meteor's speed down to minimize the damage it caused, which resulted in the meteor's supernatural radiation that gave the Lunatics their powers, and, by extension, all of the events that transpired throughout the season. Gunnar, the Fuzzies, Dare's disfiguration, Black Velvet's blindness, all the result of Zadavia attempting to flee her home planet. Zadavia is able to detect her brother's energy on the small planet we've seen in Part 1, realizing that's where Duck is now located. Using her own personal ship, Zadavia and the rest of the Lunatics make their way to the planet to rescue Duck. Meanwhile, back with Duck, the Mallard comes to his senses and realizes that he really is trapped with 4 of the team's most dangerous foes, and most importantly, Cypher still has his powers.
Ah, poor Ducky. Have a bad dream?
Wait, it's all coming back to me. The Priven train. And you. You took my powers!
Rather than let the 4 of them take care of Duck, Optimatus instead opts to let his personal droids hold him hostage.
This is the most amazing chip design I've ever seen.
My planet's technology is based on a universal code. It can be used to run anything, from a child's toy to a warp engine.
The Lunatics, getting close to the planet, get a threatening message from Optimatus, distracting them from his personal fleet heading straight towards them. Leiron Desjarnet burst onto the scene in a spectacular fashion, beginning his career as a character designer for the Proud family, then followed that up with the animated opening title sequence for the 2004 Punisher film. For Lunatics Unleashed, Desjarnet would storyboard 7 episodes, 3 from Season 1 and 4 from Season 2. After Lunatics, Desjarnet would continue designing characters for shows like The Ricky Gervais Show, Super Best Friends Forever, Monster High, and, coming full circle, The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. Outside of animation work, Desjarnet is one of the main illustrators for both the Garbage Pail Kids and Mars Attacks lines of trading cards, and provided illustrations for books penned by Jeff Foxworthy and the Wayans brothers. Dan Root's career began innocently enough as a character animator for Bebe's Kids, then would follow that up with Life with Louie, Ren and Stimpy, and The Swan Princess, before getting his first real taste of notoriety as a lead animator for Space Jam. Following that, he'd land a comfy position at Disney Toon Studios, working on a number of Disney's direct-to-DVD sequels, including Pocahontas 2, 101 Dalmatians 2, Tarzan 2, and Fox and the Hound 2. For Lunatics Unleashed, Root would storyboard 4 episodes, all of which were in Season 2. Post-Lunatics, Root's storyboarding career would continue with The Boondocks, the Cubo run of 321 Penguins, The Looney Tunes Show, and New Looney Tunes. His most recent credits include Paws of Fury, Puppy Dog Pals, Housebroken, and Young Jedi Adventures. Despite his unfamiliarity with the controls of Zadavia's ship, Ace is able to outmaneuver Optimatus' forces with relative ease, Tech sniping a few more with the ship's defensive weapons. Zadavia even joins in the assault by flying out and blasting the ships with her own powers. But the victory is short-lived as she's caught in a tractor beam and brought down to the planet. The team, minus Ace and Rev, all take to space and try to get her back, but to no avail. Optimatus' forces successfully blow up Zadavia's ship, with the 2 remaining Lunatics seemingly still inside.
Oh no, they didn't have a chance. He was the best leader. There's nothing left.
Who you calling nuttin'?
Ace! I thought we lost you.
Hey, careful! You'll wrinkle the spacesuit.
Back with Duck, he's, well, being Duck.
Just look at me. I'm dehydrated, shriveled, withered, wizened. I need water. You just had some 10 minutes ago.
Hey, I'm a duck! We're big on wet!
Or so you'd think.
Here is your water.
You wouldn't happen to have a wedge of lemon, would you?
Here's your slice of lemon.
Can I have a cleanup on aisle 6?
Zadavia is brought forth to her brother, poised to give her a front row seat to Acmetropolis' destruction. While this is happening, Duck sneaks inside. Massive is outraged that Optimatus isn't holding up his end of the deal they made back in Part 1. The other villains try to fight back, but Optimatus is too powerful for them. Not even Massive can go toe-to-toe with him that easily. In the ensuing struggle, Duck takes advantage of Cypher being knocked out cold by regaining his powers once more. Taking out Massive and Weathervane in one fell swoop, Optimatus opens up a portal to Acmetropolis, sucking the 4 villains up so they can enjoy what little time they have left of the city planet's existence. As citizens take note of the 4 being dumped back on the planet, Acmetropolis gets one final message from Optimatus.
All hail your new kings, Acmetropolis!
After the break, the Lunatics arrive on the planet in search of Duck. Meanwhile, the Mallard uses his regained powers to pester Optimatus and destroys his robotic henchmen via friendly fire. As more robotic henchmen arrive for backup, Lexi, Slam, and Rev arrive, reuniting with Duck to join him in taking out the rest of the robots. While this is happening, a large wormhole opens up over Acmetropolis, which begins sucking the city planet inside. Optimatus watches with great intent, only for Zadavia and Duck to put a wrench in those plans, with Ace and Tech not too far behind. Ace hopes Tech knows what to do, but wormhole technology is one field of expertise that not even the Coyote is familiar with. But that's when he remembers the one thing that could save Acmetropolis.
Wait! The Freelangian Universal Code. Zadavia said you could use it to run everything from a child's toy to a warp engine
To a wormhole!
It's come down to the final wire. Zadavia and Optimatus are locked in a stalemate of power. Ace is occupied taking out the last of Optimatus' forces, and Acmetropolis is inches away from being sucked into a wormhole to who knows where. The rest of the team arrives to see Zadavia blast her Freelangian brother out of his lair. With the calculations in place, Tech inserts the universal chip, reversing the wormhole's course and returns the city planet back to its rightful place in the solar system. Unfortunately, that wormhole is now positioned at their location.
That wormhole is going to send us off to another galaxy far, far away.
Everyone, into my brother's ship!
Zadavia leads the team to her brother's ship, where they can hopefully make a fast getaway, only for them to discover Optimatus on board. Zadavia uses her brother's wormhole gun on him, Optimatus swearing he'll be back as he's sucked in. As the Lunatics successfully escape the wormhole that engulfs the small planet, Zadavia thanks them all for not only saving her, but the entire galaxy as well.
Just for the record, she's talking about me.
Like you do.
Duck asks what will become of her brother, who is told that he'll be flung into the coldest depths of the universe. We last see him huddling for warmth in a makeshift campfire out of the remains of his wrecked henchmen.
Oh, this is not the end, Zadavia. I shall seek vengeance against you and your accursed lunatics.
Back on Acmetropolis, Mallory, Massive, Weathervane, and Cypher realize that the wormhole is now gone. Mallory believing the Lunatics performed some sort of heroic sacrifice in order to save the planet. Before the quartet have time to revel in the possibility that they're now free to take over the city planet with ease, the Lunatics appear before them, ready to deliver one more beatdown as we end the episode and Season 1.
Greetings, losers. What up, Doc?
The Lunatics! Let's get them!
Let's unpack all of this, shall we? With this two-parter, we can finally place the starting domino that leads into all of the events that we've seen in Season 1. It's Optimatus to thank for creating what would eventually be his own downfall, as chucking an asteroid at his sister's location, hoping to commit an act of sororicide, would ultimately end up with the galaxy's greatest champions. And speaking of sisters, it's amazing to finally see Zadavia not only in the flesh, at least for more than 5 seconds and not as a galactic oddity, but also proving that she can kick as much ass as the rest of the team. I also really appreciate how, rather than have the 4 returning villains united in their hatred of the Lunatics, they're all mostly at odds with each other, especially towards Cypher. They're only working for Optimatus because he springs them out, and it's not like they have anything else better to do. But at the same time, when they have to work together, boy do they give the Lunatics one of the most brutal beatdowns seen so far. It was bad enough to handle one of them on their own, but to deal with 4 of them at the same time? Forget it! Another thing I really like is how Duck and Zadavia's relationship has evolved over the entire season. Zadavia, at her best, tolerates Duck and still thinks of him as a member of the team, even if he has to be reined in a lot of the time thanks to his ego and glory-seeking. Duck is like Zadavia's problem child. But in this episode, it's Duck that ultimately rescues her from Optimatus' clutches. In spite of their rocky history throughout the season, Duck is still a hero, and Zadavia is able to witness it firsthand. And all of this leads up into an ending that says, this could be the last episode, so let's end with a bang, and hey, the door's still open for new adventures. It gives our quartet of villains a false hope that Acmetropolis is still theirs for the taking, only for the Lunatics to arrive and shatter those ambitions, launching towards the camera for what is assumed to be a battle that ties up any final loose ends for the team to deal with before life goes back to normal. If Lunatics Unleashed ended here, as a 13-episode one-off, I'd be satisfied, if a bit bummed that there isn't more to tell. But as fate would have it, Warner Brothers granted Lunatics another season, with a few notes about how this second season should be handled. But before we get to that, let's take another intermission to talk about a few things.